Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. It's that time of the month where we talk about the top side deck cards for July 2022, and this is a pretty important one because we're all getting ready for events like Otakon, Gen Con. There's even a PPG 1K this coming weekend in Edison, New Jersey, so if you guys don't have anything to do this weekend, come on by. I'll be in attendance. PPG always hosts awesome events, so I definitely recommend it. But anyways, we'll get into this video. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video, and if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways down in the description to do so, as always. But if you guys want to help support the channel today, you guys can use the link in the description to Spreadshirt and grab yourself a sick Crossworld t-shirt. I haven't plugged that one in quite some time, so if you guys want to get some Crossworld apparel, go check out the Spreadshirt link down in the description. All that really has helped me out, and I really do appreciate you guys. Anyways, let's get into this. Alright, so BMS, we always talk about it, but this time, this is probably the first time in what, maybe like 6 months, where I am actually happy to report to you guys that this card actually feels good in this format against two of the best decks. This card feels really good against Yellow Trunks and against Gamma. So against Yellow Trunks, you're punishing their turn 1 play of playing Trunks or Vegeta and playing the corresponding one from the deck, as well as their leader's ability to revive their 1-drops from the drop area. And Yellow does have to kind of jump through some hoops to remove a active mode 1-drop from the board. They do have to kind of do some things that they might have to tap energy defensively to rest this, then attack into it next turn, stuff like that. They don't really have spot removal for active mode cards. And then in the Gamma matchup, you're preventing them or punishing them from playing their 15k androids from their energy, and they really can't get rid of this effectively until they play Cell on turn 4. So 3 to 4 turns of stalling your opponent and not letting them basically play their deck has been very, very good. And again, Gamma doesn't really have like the straight up spot removal needed to kill this guy in the early turns. Now, here's the thing about this card. You guys might be thinking, and you guys are correct in this, but I'm going to explain. You guys might be thinking that the yellow Realm of the Gods, Black Kamehameha, and the blue Realm of the Gods, Kamehameha, are going to allow the Trunks and Gamma decks to kill this card easily. And that is true, but here's a tip that's going to help you guys get around that. Especially in the Gamma matchup, you can swing at their Unison every single time, which one will get their Unison off the board, which is going to alleviate pressure off of you. And that's going to deny your opponent the defensive combo step needed in order to use Beerus Realm of the Gods to remove this card, right? So if you really wanted to protect BMS, all you have to do is attack their Unison. In the Yellow Trunks matchup, this is going to be a little bit tougher because they don't always have a Unison until turn 3. But in the Yellow Trunks decks and most Yellow decks in general, Black Kamehameha is really a 2 of at most, so banking on them seeing their 2 of that early in the game, I mean, they might have it, could be annoying. They might even tap out on 2 if they want to play a bunch of 1-drops and draw cards, since you're not letting them play their 1-drops from the deck. So it can go a number of ways, but just know basically this card can actually be protected very nicely in the Gamma matchup by attacking that Unison. In the Yellow Trunks matchup, again, it relies on them seeing cards they play few numbers of in order to answer this. Now, I will say, this card's really only effective on turn 1. Anything past that is really, really risky and probably not worth it. So do you side 3 copies of this? Maybe, depending on the deck. I think if you're playing a mono black deck, this is actually a great card to side deck. In my Mechie deck list that I shared the other day, I'm actually maining 4 copies because of the self-awaken ability paired with actually how good it is against Gamma and Trunks. Like, I've single-handedly won games with this card alone in the Machika deck, playing it at 4 in the main. So if you can afford to play 3 on your side, I think it can help you out. Like, I think it's good in aggro decks because, again, you're stopping these decks from meeting their game plan, and then if you follow up with good pressure, that's going to really put the pain on those decks. But also, I think this is okay in slower decks because you're going to alleviate, especially Gamma, you're going to kind of halt them from being super aggressive with you. So again, wanted to talk about this one for a little while because BMS hasn't been great in a long time, but from my personal experience, it's actually pretty good this format against the 2 top decks. Then we have Machika, the Broken Seal. I mean, this card is just pretty much always good. It's not as good as it used to be because, like, a couple formats ago, every single deck was, like, super linear and relied on a singular boss monster. It's not really that way anymore, but there's still a fair amount of decks that this can hurt pretty badly. Cell Reboot's one of them. You have other random things in the format that this can hit, like, depending on what strategy your opponent's playing and how well you know the meta, especially the rogue meta pool. Machika is just going to have varying levels of value depending on your knowledge as a player. So side it with caution, but again, like, if you don't have a better answer to Cell Reboot, this can be a great card to stop that Perfect Force Cell from coming down, ripping out your hand. Then we have Strategies of Universe 7. So the thing is about this format, the two best red decks are both red sand decks, and Strategies of Universe 7 at a key moment can be super clutch in helping you go for game. The thing about this format is there are floodgates everywhere, but on top of the floodgates, which red actually answers pretty easily, you've got a lot of battle tricks, especially in the blue and yellow matchups. We talked about it earlier. Realm of the Gods, Black Kamehameha in yellow. In the blue matchup, you got the Boo Unison to deal with. If you have a full board of red sands and you activate Strategies of U7 and make all your sands game barrier, it's going to be very hard for your opponent to use those battle tricks and interrupt your board. So Strategy of U7 is going to be great for the top red decks in this meta. But of course, if you're playing a red deck that doesn't revolve around sands, kind of ignore this one. Then we have Trunks from the Future. So this is really just representing Self-Awakeners, and the reason that I think it's important to side deck Self-Awakeners is because of Bulma. Now, we really have no idea how popular Bulma is going to be going into Otakon, Gen Con, and the other events, but considering that it did win in Philly, I'm willing to bet that a lot of people are adding it to their testing arsenal. Again, whether or not they're going to actually take Bulma to events and play it is one thing or another, but if your leader does not have Inherent Self-Awaken, or your deck strategy does not have Inherent Self-Awaken, it's going to be pretty crucial for you to have ways to take your own life that don't involve negates. Like, there are a lot of negates right now that take life, like the blocker negates, some red decks like U7 playing After Image, stuff like that. But Bulma's not really going to attack very much, so you want to have a proactive Self-Awakener in that matchup. Like, for example, if I play Trunks Vegeta again at a tournament, I'm definitely playing probably 3 copies of this card in my side deck, because 1, Self-Awaken, and 2, it's got the synergy of being able to evolve into my Trunks future on the line, right? So pretty much no matter what color you're playing, if you don't have Self-Awaken in your leader or your main deck, you probably want to have some Self-Awaken on the sideboard if you're afraid of the Bulma matchup. Then we have some cards that pretty much just stop Dormant Potential Unleashed, and the occasional Sparking D magic. I would also bring these in against blue, and that's King Vegeta Hidden Ambitions for red, and then Hunt the Demon God for any monocolor deck as long as you have 4 or more energy. Both these cards will negate a 1 cost extra card that was activated without paying its energy cost. So that right there is vital, again, for stopping Dormant Potential Unleashed when your opponent has a Unison in play, as well as the Sparking D magic. Can also be okay against U7 for the Sparking Afterimage, which they're known to use pretty heavily. But I don't necessarily know if you want to bring this in against that matchup if you have better side deck cards for your aggro matchup. So just a thought there, but wanted to give you guys all the possible applications. Then we have our standard cards that stop our opponent from attacking us with boss monsters. And stopping the opponent from attacking is really important because Ultra Mastery and the Cell Ultimate Bio Android have really powerful effects when they swing, so preventing them from swinging overall is going to be really important to staying alive. So these cards are great. We have the green Big Amor, which is unfortunately the worst one out of the bunch, but it's really your only option. We have Vegeta Unison of Fury, solid Unison in yellow decks, and we have Dirty Burst, which has honestly become a main staple in a lot of blue decks, but still a really good one to consider. Red doesn't have too much in the way of stopping these boss monsters, but I mean, red's very aggressive, so you're able to put on a lot of pressure before your opponent gets to the boss monster, and that's kind of the trade-off. And then black, you have Petrification. That's probably your best bet, even though the card still gets to attack, but Petrification is one of the few cards in the game that actually does stop pending autos, so that's really good there. We have a couple more cards to go through, guys. Pretty standard stuff, but I just wanted to say that if you're watching the video this long, I really do appreciate you guys once again. And if you guys do really want to help me, if you've been fans of the channel for a long time, I am publishing my own comic book independently, New Mafia Genesis. I know I won't shut up about it, but I mean, guys, I'm super proud of this. If you guys want to check it out, check out the story, check out the characters, go down in the description to my link to Indiegogo. Again, I am indebted to you guys forever. Anyways, getting back into this, you want to have your counterplays for the various floodgates in the format. I know I talk about this one every single time. It's just that important, though. But I do want to get into these a bit more specifically. More so Focus Breakthrough and T-Blow. So Focus Breakthrough, this is coming from my experience playing Cooler. In my first place Team Wars list, I played 2 copies of Dodoria. The counterplay that says it counters to 2 or less as long as you have a Unison in play. That card's fine, but I did mention that I had wished it was Focus Breakthrough because the condition on this card is being at 4 or less life, which Cooler can always do. You can't activate it for free because you're playing a mono green deck, but that's okay. You weren't activating Dodoria for free anyway. So paying 1 for Focus Breakthrough, even though it's an extra card compared to Dodoria being a battle card, I think Focus Breakthrough is more important because of that coverall 3 or less. Like, there are just some floodgates like Gohan Baby's Minion that you can't stop with the Dodoria, right? So having access to Focus Breakthrough I think is more important than having access to Dodoria in green decks. And then Tyrannical Blow, I just wanted to mention that the best usage usage of this card that I've seen in this format is against the Gamma matchup, where if they use the Android 14 Floodgate negate, you counter with T-Blow, and if they have the Boo Unison in play, you also negate the skills of a Boo Unison. So if that sequence happens, which oftentimes it will, because they'll have the Boo Unison and they still feel like they have to Floodgate, you T-Blow, negate the Boo Unison, and now you have like free range to get a ton of damage in there. So that'll be a turn where you want to use your Piccolo Gohan SCR, your Leader Double Strike, all that kind of stuff can be very, very effective in that matchup, in that scenario, which again will come up very often. So wanted to let you guys know about that. Then we have Koitsukai Mechanical Courage. If you can't really play cards that counterplay Floodgates, or there are Floodgates you're concerned about, like SSG Goku Miraculous Transformation or Vegeta Ready to Rumble, Koitsukai can punish those cards where counterplays cannot typically stop them. So just want to make that obvious to you guys. And then finally, we have Deborah Ritual at hand. Not such a great card against Cell Reboot. That's why we talked about Machika, the Broken Seal, earlier in the video. But this card is very, very good against Green Cooler. People are still playing it in these BO1 pre-side formats. So having your Deborahs prepped for the Cooler matchup is going to be very advantageous to you guys. But anyways, that's what I want to talk about in today's video. Hope you guys found something helpful in this. Let me know if you did down in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video.